Welcome to Talkin Business. I'm Joe Catrambone, and I'm CEO of the Stuart Martin County Chamber of Commerce. And I'm so pleased today to have Circuit Court Judge Rebecca White as my guest. Your Honor, thank you so much for appearing. I know that you've got a busy docket. But anyway, thank you for coming. I'm going to say something about that busy docket in a second. But we just recently met.
Yes, sir.
And it was my pleasure.
Oh,
and I
mine
enjoyed
too.
meeting you. And I was surprised, this is a compliment, that you have 4 children.
Yes, I do.
You look like a teenager.
Oh, thank you.
But anyway, we can talk about that in a little bit. But what I like to do with my guests, and I really don't know much of your background because we just met recently, but what I like to do with our viewers is to give our guests an opportunity to tell them a little bit about themselves and in your background. And of course, Judge, I mean, that's great.
Thank you.
So would you start us off by telling
Sure.
us?
And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate
I love
it.
Appreciate your coming.
Thank you. Well, I grew up in Brevard County because my dad was an aerospace engineer on the space shuttle, and my mom was a teacher. And I went to University of Florida for undergrad, and then Stetson University College of Law, where I met my husband. And that's where we graduated from. And then we came to Martin County in 2006 on vacation, and I just fell in love with this area.
It always happens.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, in Brevard County, we don't have the Gulf Stream water being as pretty as y'all have. So it is so pretty. And I said, this is where I want to live and raise our kids, so figure it out. So it worked out.
Wow, that was a good plan.
Yes, it worked out. My husband and I both were hired as assistant state attorneys by Bruce Colton, who was our state attorney at the time. And we started work there in 2007. And so I worked there at the state attorney's office and doing everything from capital sexual batteries, first-degree murders. I was misdemeanor supervisor over the largest division in the circuit, prosecuting 5,000 cases a year. I was on the South Florida ICAT, which is the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force, and did a lot of stuff until about 2019 when I decided that maybe I might want to be judge. And I thought that I could make a bigger impact, not just handling my caseload, for the community that I love, that I'm raising my kids in, if I became judge. So I put in for the appointment process, and Judicial Nominating Committee sent me to Tallahassee, and in March of 2021, Governor DeSantis appointed me to the Circuit Court bench.
Well, I didn't know how that worked. So, but you had the desire. You weren't recruited to be a judge. You felt it. You wanted to know. You knew you wanted to be a judge,
Right.
because you felt you could make change.
Yes, I thought I could make a bigger difference in the community. I love this community, and I thought that I could serve more. I mean, not just handling just my small state attorney docket. I could do lots of different things, and by being a judge, and so that's why I started applying. So for the appointment process, you apply to the local Judicial Nominating Committee, and they vet you locally in the legal community, and then they interview you and send a list of names up to Tallahassee, and the Governor's General Counsel office vets you and then interviews you before it ever gets to the governor.
So it surprised me because knowing nothing about the judicial system, it surprised me that, I mean, we've heard for years how the dockets are so full and people aren't being processed and the process is stalled. And one of the things I've been told about, and then when I looked into your history and your background, you're a workaholic. I mean, you push them through. And so as a matter of fact, I think someone told me that when you took over, that you cut your load in half in a matter of months or whatever that short span of time was. So tell me how that process works. How a judge is given a bunch of dockets and they schedule them when they want them to be heard? Is that how it?
Right. So the circuit is Indian River, Martin, Okeechobee, and St.
Yeah,
Lucie
that's
counties.
yeah.
Yeah. So you get a judge is assigned by the chief judge to a specific assignment. My assignment that I was given is in Okeechobee. So in Okeechobee, I'm assigned all of the circuit civil cases. I do the family law cases. I do the dependency cases and the probate and guardianship. So when I first took the bench, I noticed that there was a huge backlog in the civil division. I mean, with COVID and everything, there was just a lot of cases that needed to be handled. There's about, I think it was over 700. And so I prioritized making sure that I could get resolution to those cases. So I was able to, through different docket management tools, like setting the cases for case management, setting them for different hearings to see what's going on, to progress them, to reduce it. And our docket now in Okeechobee in civil is around 333. So it's less than half from when I started, just by prioritizing getting the cases resolved, which means that people are getting resolution to their cases. They're not constantly wondering what's going to happen with my case. Am I going to lose my house, my business? What's going on? So it was a priority to make sure that I understand the courtroom doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people of the 19th Circuit, and that I need to make sure I'm there, I'm available to give them access to the courtroom.
So when you have all of this docket in front of you, you have all these cases, do you have the ability to, rather than bring it to a hearing, to meet with that person or their attorney and settle it and get rid of it? Or does it have to go through a process?
Judges don't participate in any settlement negotiations. What I can do is I can bring them in and discuss where the case is going, like can set deadlines on different things that they may file in the case, or when the case is ultimately going to go to, if it's jury or non-jury trial. So I can do that. But whether the case settles or not, that's not my position at all. That's amongst the attorneys and the parties.
So what do you have the ability to hasten? How do you move? How did you just move through it? Just dig them in? And I mean, is there any shortcuts you can take, or is there anything, I don't, to move things along?
Well, the big thing that we did is we set every single case that was on my docket for a hearing to see what's going on.
So you set them for hearing?
Yes, I set them for hearing, just to basically check in with every single party and say, what's going on? Why is this still pending? Can this close out? I mean, there were some cases that just need to be closed, but they were still being carried on the docket. So we were able to bring everyone in and do that. And I mean, we would just spend I think we did like every other week a day, or maybe it was once a month, just a full day where it was just calling cases up and figuring out what's going on and getting the cases.
So you're actually sitting and people coming before you
right
in every instance?
Yes. I mean, they can appear via Zoom. They can do it electronically, but yes, they all have to come in and tell me, why they need more time, or they can resolve it if it's settled and whatever.
Is more of that, you just mentioned Zoom, is any of that, is any more of that being handled electronically? Do you see perhaps a change to all electronically, or a majority electronic?
The Supreme Court rule has just gone out, and I don't know what exactly is going to happen with it, but that's going to extend Zoom for certain types of hearings. So I currently use Zoom very frequently in Okeechobee, because especially when there's a party that may have an attorney that's out of town, the attorney is having to travel that hour and the hour back if they're anywhere here in the Treasure Coast. And so it can allow them to handle more cases and be more effective for their clients. So I do find it's very useful in most of my cases. I mean, jury trials, obviously, they have to be live, but there are a lot of hearings that I can do via Zoom.
So I would think, I would think that being able to do that would probably save a person money on their attorney's fees, doing it electronically, rather than that attorney traveling an hour or two and an hour back and billing the client for that travel time. Is that?
I would think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get involved in that, but
Yeah,
I mean, to me, and it just gives more access to the courts, and something that I think is so important.
Do you? And I don't. I hope this isn't unfair to you. Would you rather? Is there a part of the law you would rather be handling rather than what you're doing now? Would you rather criminal cases? Is that an unfair question?
No. I mean, I really like my assignment. The people in Okeechobee are great. It's been, when I first started, I thought I was going to be like rigid with, I wanted to do certain cases certain times, and certain days would be for certain types of cases, and that's just not practical in my assignment. So I tease my judicial assistant. We have a different kind of law in front of us every 15 minutes, and it's exciting and different. So I really like that, just always having something else going on. I mean, what I've really enjoyed though in my assignment is my favorite day in court is adoptions. So I mean,
nice. Yeah.
that's been my absolute favorite. And I've been able to I always gave out teddy bears or stuffed animals to the kids when we did the adoptions. And recently I've been bringing in a 7-month-old Dachshund puppy just to make the kids even more comfortable, because the parents are all excited, the families are excited when they're there, but the kids are still nervous being in a courtroom and having all the attention on them. But when I bring in that puppy, everyone's excited. So I've just really enjoyed that. That's just such a happy thing I get to do. I've also really I do dependency, which is foster care cases, and I'm starting a new program for the benefit of children under age of 5 in dependency, and I'm really excited about that new program.
What's the most difficult to cases to handle? Is it family issues?
It can be. I mean, obviously in family law, it's always the best interest of children, and so it can be very difficult when you're dealing always with family issues.
Yeah, that's heart-wrenching. I'm sure and being a mom, and that's really wow. Oh, that's got to be really difficult. What do you see anything unusual, quirky coming up in the legal system or in the courts that you could foresee or share with us that might be a change coming about, or is there something that you perceive could be a better way to handle things that would simplify or hasten the process?
I mean, with my, it's not quirky, but with my early childhood court that I'm starting in dependency, I do think that will hopefully, at least across the state, has shown that children get to whatever their permanency is going to be, whether it's reunification, adoption, or permanent guardianship, faster. And so that will help resolve those cases in dependency faster, hopefully. And that's such a big benefit to the children that get to participate in the program, because they're not in their out of permanent home placement as long, which is trauma for kids to not be able to bond with whoever their permanent caregiver is going to give. And so I'm hoping that's going to help those cases to be able to resolve quicker, so that those children get that benefit of permanency faster.
You're in Okeechobee right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're in this district, which is Martin, St. Lucie, Okeechobee, and
Indian River.
Okay. What are you going to be permanently in Okeechobee, or does that rotate?
Yes, you rotate. You can move every 2 years or 3 years, or normally by 4. You definitely rotate out. So this is technically my second year in that position. I've been on the bench for 16 months, but the judge who I replaced, that retired, Judge McCann, he had already been there. So as part of my assignment, I've been there. Yes.
Yeah. So you could be actually 2 more years in Okeechobee.
Yes.
Before you then, do you know where, is it predetermined where you go, or
No.
it's just a roll of the dice, or what?
It's up to the chief judge, who our chief judge right now is Judge Schwab. And
Okay.
so he does the assignments for all the judges. So all of the circuit court judges can rotate at any time.
It doesn't. So you could be moved somewhere else. You necessarily don't have to be in Okeechobee for the next 2 years.
Right.
You could be, and the chief judge makes that. So what would cause that? What would predicate you being moved out of Okeechobee to go somewhere else?
Well, with the start of my new program, I want to stay there. I mean, I know the judge will take that in consideration, because I'm starting it. I've got the parent-child psychotherapist being trained in Okeechobee. We've got everything set up to do the program in Okeechobee, and I'm the one that agreed to do it. It's my baby. I want to take it and see it
Good,
get
okay.
started. And so, but after it is started in Okeechobee and it's ready for someone else to take it over, then I would like to bring it, and once we're ready to expand it, I would like to bring it here to the coast and
Brings it to the whole circuit.
yes, and allow, and that's my hope. I mean,
Oh, good. Good. That's great. Yeah. I hope it works for you. Is there anything? So you were appointed by Governor DeSantis.
yes, sir.
You wanted to be a judge. You had a basic idea of what a judge's responsibilities and duties were. Is there anything surprised you, or anything that was out of the ordinary that you didn't expect?
The only thing is, I mean, I've tried over 100 jury trials, 40 non-jury trials as a prosecutor, so I had an opportunity to be in front of lots of judges, and I do hear myself saying things that those judges said out loud. I'll be repeating a phrase that they said at a point. I'm like, oh, that sounds like that judge. But and I don't know if it's just because I'm in Okeechobee. It is very different. When I was a misdemeanor supervisor and I was in charge of 15 people were in my office all the time. And, when you're the judge, you're behind the locked doors. So you don't have visitors or anyone. It's a little bit isolating from that perspective, and it's just been a little bit different. I mean, I'm used to it now, and I have lots to do, so it's fine not having people just stop by, but it was very different coming from such a large office. I mean, I used to through the state attorney's office annual Thanksgiving luncheon, we'd have 80 people attend it. There's the judges, it's very different.
Yeah,
There's
you're
just
more
not as much.
isolated.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing, don't you?
Right. No, and I'm not complaining about it. It's just something I had to get used to.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered?
No, I mean, I'm very blessed that I get to serve in this capacity. This is something, like I said, it wasn't what I went to law school thinking I wanted to do, but it was something that when I took, when I started realizing I could make a bigger impact for the community that I've loved for the last 15 years, that I just wanted to do. And I mean, it's partially obviously because, like you said, I do have those 4 kids, and I want them to grow up in the same place that I fell in love with, almost 16 years ago now when we came here. And so I think I've been able to do that. I've made a lot of positive changes, and I'm really, really excited to get my program started and to see where it goes from here.
I don't think we covered. Where do you live?
In Vero.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great community.
Yes.
A really nice community. Yeah, you ended up in a great place.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
lucky.
Well, Your Honor, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
I appreciate you
having
taking
me.
time out of your busy schedule. I know you run hard, so I really appreciate it. And it was good that you were here today anyway.
Yes.
You didn't have to make a special trip. So,
Definitely.
If you're willing, we'll have you come back.
Oh,
and
I
we'll
would
talk
love
about
to.
some.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.